Hey, what's happening? It's Adam with Theros Media, and today I want to go through a little triage for a site that we do run called Mid-Atlantic Water. So we want to bring this site from what it's currently doing, usually around 20,000 a month. Last time I looked at it in January, to you want to get it to $100,000 a month. So what I'm going to do is take a look at all the analytics, see what's going on, see what went on last year, see what needs to happen this year to actually make that happen. So, first thing is total sales we're going to look at. What are we working with between last year and this year? So, we take a look. Last year, I didn't work on it very much, and it did about a steady 30 grand or so. There was a couple times me and the partners and I, were advertising with it, but I was also running a HVAC company for the majority of last year, and things got hectic for the HVAC company. We were growing. I couldn't actually give it any time. So I run an agency now. I used to run an agency before. I had to deal with a client of ours to partly run his business to buy in. So I had to run it for 6 months was the term. Ended up being 2 years. And this is the end of that 2 years. So this got really busy. We brought the company from when I started to 1.1 to 3.5 mil. And the deal didn't end up working out. So we parted ways. So I came back to this site to figure out if we can actually grow it and what we can do with it. So a steady 30,000 or so. So 405 divided by 12 ends up being around 32 grand, 33 grand or so a month in revenue. So that's what we're working with, about 30 grand in revenue. So let's see what actually happened. So the sessions year over year. So the year before that, I advertised a little bit for it. We brought the site on in 2019. In 2019, I think it might have been doing half of this. And then we worked on it 2019, 2020. 2020, obviously everything shut down for a while. So I had to focus on one thing versus the other. And I was already running the HVAC company. That was the main focus. So I told the partners that that'd be my main focus, especially for a while we're getting things going. I didn't want to leave them hanging, but that's kind of what happened. Actually, in 2020, when everything shut down with the HVAC company, I started an e-commerce store for the HVAC company and then worked on this on the side, 2020 until about September or so. That's really when, maybe it's me, maybe I'm hard to work with, but that's when the one of the partners of this company, saw we were bringing in revenue, wanted to push it, and I wasn't getting paid for it. So, and I wasn't taking any profit from the company because we needed to pay off previous stuff when we took over the business. So, there's really no money to go around, even though if we're making 70 grand a month. And he had a choice word for me. So I decided, okay, well, I got to focus on one thing versus the other. This is when I decided to focus on the HVAC company. So 2020 went from 70 grand or 68 grand to 21 in a month. 46, they were sorting itself out. So that year was about 40 grand a month or so. Dropped down to about 33. Let's see. And then last year I left the HVAC company because I didn't negotiate very well at all. I started what we originally talked about didn't end up, not month to date, I want to say year to date. We originally talked about didn't end up happening. And for whatever reason, I felt like I was being pushed off on actually buying into the company. So I ended up leaving. It worked out great for them because the site that I built, last month did 160 grand and I got paid $0 to build it. I thought it was going to be rolled into the deal that we had. Turns out that I shouldn't have done that. Should have struck a deal for one at a time. Never combine, or I learned never to combine two things into one thing. So if something's separate, keep it separate. Don't combine it. Have a separate deal for both. Because for this, this started, 2019 or so, around the same time we brought on Mid-Atlantic Water as not a client, but a partner company for my company. That's the same year that I had to deal with the HVAC owner to buy into the business. And he said he had to work here for 6 months to actually know what goes on. So that's the same time that I started this business for them, because we wanted the e-commerce presence when I came on. I said, look, I know services are tough. I provide services now for other companies, but services is a tough business. It's all labor intensive. And in HVAC, you don't really have control of your margins that well, because the jobs can take longer than they're budgeted for and things go negative. So it was not in my mind, the way we had to set up, it wasn't very sustainable. So I decided, let's have e-commerce branch. I had to actually push for it a ton. Funny enough, I had to push for it a heck of a lot. And then one thing happened, another thing happened that was kind of, okay, well, that's not really what we agreed upon. Then he took the access to this site away from me. And I'm like, I built the site. Why would you take access? I'm working on it constantly. Every month. So during the pandemic, I started working on it, because before that, it might have been bringing in 12, 13 grand a month. It wasn't really anything big. Especially for us, we were doing $100,000 a month, or we were doing, about 100 grand or so a month in the service business, and we need to focus on that and grow it. So I said, okay. And then this one was doing about 12 or so, and it was really taking time. For us, we had to get the stuff in, we had to package it up, ship it out. For this company, there really is no drop shipping aspect. You can do that a little bit, but your suppliers, this is selling big equipment, and it's all custom to the job. So this is a HVAC, I'll show you the store. It's a ductless store, and it's all custom to the job. So someone calls in the company, and then we provide them help on getting a system that's right for them. And I did this I was a designer for years, so we got good at figuring out what they need. So they designed a multi-zone system. That's why the average order value is around $5 grand or so. Is because the average order, you buy an outdoor unit, mainly we're selling Mitsubishi's, because that has a bigger search volume. I decided to focus on that. Outdoor units can be, outdoor units can be $5 grand themselves. Typically, the average system is around a 3-zone system, so $2,000 for the outdoor unit, and then a couple $100, let's say $700 to $800 for the indoor units. So 3 indoor units, $2,100, and then accessories to go with it, taxes. So can it end up being $5 grand? So it looks like they pushed the order value up. It's probably closer to this now, a 5-zone on average. I could take a look at the analytics and see, but I'm not going to do that, because they are currently becoming a client of ours, because they want to advertise the site and grow it, because service is very hard to do. You have to scale up people more than products. In e-commerce, you have to scale up products more than people. So for us, it was myself and Mark. Once it hit about 60 to 70 grand a month, it was myself and Mark taking phone calls for the company and packaging up everything, shipping them out. I had to figure out the logistics for it. I had to figure out how to ship things to different countries, well, mainly Canada. And Alaska's tough to get to. Hawaii's tough to get to. But they call it land and sea shipping. But I had to figure all that out before Mark came on. Mark came on at about the end of 2020, when we were rocking and rolling, doing about 70, 80 grand a month. And helped out a ton, because I had to focus on estimates for the service company. Long story short, I didn't screw myself, but I tried to roll one deal into the other. Shouldn't have done that. Should have negotiated separately. So learn from my mistakes. I did that. Shouldn't have done that. Now, this year for Mid-Atlantic Water. So last year, about 30 grand a month. Average order value is about $700. This year, February started advertising about mid-February, February 7th or so. Is when it actually started because I saw this big dip in returns. So I'll show you the analytics for the returns this year. So the sales is 107. That's in home or revenue in our pocket. But if you see here, returns is 32 grand negative, and that really takes a hit on cash in the bank because giving money back always sucks. And if you're running a business on 30 grand a month, I think for this one we need about 28 to hit our break even point for the month. So to pay, we have one employee for the business, sales guy, we have to pay him weekly. We pay him weekly. And cost of goods is usually 60-70% of the order. So you're really only making, I'd say, gross margin might be 15% or so. So if you're running off of 30 grand, pay your 15% gross margin. What is that? $8,000 or so. And then you're paying your sales guy. So you're bringing home maybe $500 to $1,000 after all the, sales guy might be, I think he might be 6 or 7 grand a month plus whatever his commission is. And then, stuff to run your business, a little software to run your business. So, 30 grand a month is kind of our break even for this business. So we need a steady 30 grand to bring that in. Starting in January, let's see, month to month. So January was about 32 with 10,000 in returns. So this month was negative because of the 10,000 returns. So we lost a little money that month. This, I started advertising, so 53 grand. Made some of that money back out of 47. Might have took home, like I said, 15%. 10 is 4. 15, 6, 7 grand. So that pays back the month before. I know 15% sounds wrong. I think it might be closer to 20 or 25. Yeah, 15% sounds wrong. And then last month, I did, same advertising I did in February, got about the same numbers, but the returns are super bad. So I figured I need to get to 100 grand to actually make any money in it because I haven't been paid anything for this site at all. And I've done a ton of work on it over the years. Stopped and start advertising because, maybe I can't just I just can't get along with people. Hard to deal with, I guess. I don't think so, but sometimes what you think is not actually the case. But no, me and myself and one of the partners gets along very, very well. And even with the HVAC company, I can still get along with partners. It just didn't work out. And they're still a client of mine in my advertising agency. So, like I said, just the agreement we had wasn't best for everybody. Wasn't good for me. So it just didn't work out. And I didn't feel like renegotiating. It's just, once I say something, I like to stick to it. In that case, I said I couldn't deal with this. Plus, I was working 90 hours a week. I'm still working 90 hours a week, but at least I get to see my daughter a little more. All right. So 30 grand a month. So we pushed the average order value up a lot. Year to date, our average order value. We pushed up $100. All right. So first things first, conversion rate. That has dropped significantly because we've pushed a ton more traffic to it. So what I did, April, we have 2,000 people already. So that must have been yesterday by itself. Jeez. All right. So what I have tried to do is targeted traffic towards products. Okay, did that. Let me see the advertising. So let's take the average order value from last year, $703, $100,000. So we need 142 orders to make that number. Is that possible in this business? Yes. There are sites that sell thousands of what we sell every single month. So we're in the water treatment business. And the majority of what we sell is acid neutralizers. Let's see. This is this year. So acid neutralizers this year is majority of what we sell. We have a ton of other stuff. Pressure tanks, well tanks, iron filters, water softeners, UV lights for your water, reverse osmosis machines. But for whatever reason, I know the reason, mainly SEO, but we are focused on acid neutralizers right now because we have pretty much the best prices in the industry. Get it to you quick, and some of the highest quality tanks. A lot of people sell you Chinese tanks, overseas tanks. We only use Empress tanks, except for our budget line, but we hardly ever sell anything in the budget line. I don't like doing budget that much because it pushes down margins, and as you can see, even if you're making $30K a month, I know a lot of e-commerce stores, make your first $10,000 a month or whatever, but for actual business, $30K a month is hardly anything. And to run it, we're running on razor thin margins, and if you have any more returns, then you go negative. So, $100,700 average cart, and that's if we sell one-off acid neutralizers. I want to do the big package systems to get the average order value up, double that. So we need 140 sales a month. Can we do that? Yes. So the first thing I did March. So February, everything was working properly. Then the website broke. Tracking broke on the analytics. Everything went wonky. So the first thing I did was, instead of relying on Shopify's or the Google app to create a data layer for me and push that in the analytics, I created a data layer myself. So a data layer, for anybody who doesn't know, is just information that's visible to the advertising platforms, and it pushes that to them. So you can take your data layer, push it to Facebook, Analytics, Google Ads. So I created a data layer myself with this awesome tutorial from Analyzify. I know they do it for you. They have an app for $250, but like I said, we're running on razor thin margins. I didn't want to spend any money personally in the business. I have in the past and never got that back. I know a partner of mine has kept it afloat. He's an awesome partner, by the way. He's kept it afloat. If we need any money, he just put more money into it. Just because of our relationship, and it's personal for him. It is personal for me too. It's just not as personal as to him. So, first thing I did is create a data layer. Where are we at? Checkout. There we go. All right. So checkout. Here's what it looks like. So tag manager is on the order tracking page. And then we have a script that pushes the data layer to the order tracking page from the order. So I want the event, I want the currency, I want the value, I want the shipping, taxes, payment information, tracking ID, transaction ID. So I can push that into analytics and ads. So I know exactly what my ads are bringing back. And then I push all the enhanced e-commerce stuff into analytics. So analytics can take that and match that with more customers for the advertising we're doing currently. So this is the data layer I created on the website, and then you have to push it into Google Tag Manager. So you can see here that all these variables, it just takes it from the page, takes the variable from the page, pushes it into Tag Manager. So I can push these into whatever platform I want. So I did that. And then there we go, shopping app. So this is the actual analytics tag that we're pushing stuff to. And you can see here transaction volume, transaction ID, currency, all the product sales information from the data layer, all the customer data from the data layer, shipping information from the data layer. So all this stuff provided information on the website. This is all the information from the customer, so ads can match it. So we push all that into the data layer or into ads, so the ads match exactly what's happening on the website. The reason that happened is because, as you see here, last year, everything was working fine with the shopping app. We spent about $8,000, got around $200,000 back. So it's pretty good ROI. And like I said, we could do that because average order cart value is high for the advertising. For SEO, it's not as high as advertising, but for the advertising, I can push exactly what I'm looking for. So this was a maintenance amount for the website last year. So you can see our budget was January 1st, 2021 to December. Budget was minimal because, like I said, I wasn't running it. I wasn't actively working on the website or the ads behind it, and we needed something to keep us going. So this brought in 46% of the sales or so. Then Facebook brought in the other 16. So we spent $4,000 on Facebook last year. And let's see, website purchases. Can't see it here, but let's see. There's a couple things we did. So this was about a little over 50 grand, 60 grand or so for their marketing. And their marketing, we spent $2,000, got about 60 back. Then we spent around $1,700 on contact us stuff, and that led to probably at least to a decent amount of sales. It's just not tracked very well for Facebook, so it led to $3,000 worth of sales directly, and then indirectly it probably led to another, I want to say 30 to 40, but we can't track that, so I'm not going to. So for Facebook, brought about 16% of our sales. 16%. Then for Google Ads, brought almost 46% of our sales. So it took quite a bit more money for Google Ads. Actually, not that much. $8,000 versus 3. It's hard. Or $8,000 versus 4. So I could say that spent $4,000 on Facebook, got 60 grand back. Spent $8,000 Google Ads, got 200 back. So it's no foregone conclusion what I'm going to be focused on for this series. Mainly Facebook. Just kidding. And then our advertising right now brings in 21 times ROI. Return on ad spend, not ROI. 21 times return on ad spend. So that's pretty good for this. Let's see what we did last year. So last year we did some shopping ads, search ads, re-engagement ads, branded ads, shopping ads again. So we did a decent amount of stuff. What's enabled, like I said, $8,000, almost $200,000. So what we're going to do is I'll probably make a video a day breaking this down of what we're going to be focusing on for that day, and then what we are going to be doing. So this is just the initial overview of bringing a site. So I really want to 10x the revenue for the site, but we're going to focus on 5xing it first. So the goal right now is to get the revenue to $100,000 by June. So I think I could do that pretty easily for June. Right now, in April, it has brought in $0. I'll show you. Month to date. $0. 2,000 visitors already. $0. A couple abandoned carts. So you see 3 people added stuff to cart yesterday. 2 people reached the checkout. No one converted. So that is abysmal conversion rates for 2,000 people. Should have had, at least 2 people convert for a 0.1% conversion rate. But 0.1% people reached the cart. And it was mainly traffic to the product page and the collection page. And these usually convert fairly well. So, we'll chalk it up to an anomaly. But if that happens again today, then we will figure out what's going on. So, first things first, we're going to work on fixing all the tracking. I think I did that 2 days ago. Push everything to the data layer. This is tracking. So this looks almost like the website does. So this is missing about 30% of our sales. The analytics is. For whatever reason, it's just I know it's integrated, but the Shopify analytics thing doesn't work. Or the analytics, Google Analytics Shopify integration doesn't work very well. So we will figure that out. Because we're missing about 30% of our sales in here. It's not good. And then we'll figure out a strategy for Facebook. I'll do that today. Really is probably going to be driving phone calls, driving leads. I don't really want to drive sales through Facebook because this is more of a complex sale. I like to focus on e-commerce stores that have a complex sale. I've been doing that for years. You can see here, this is a very complex sale. But pays off if you have a salesperson on the phone. So, Mark, good job to you getting that average order value super high. I think it was probably Vlad more than you. But still, congrats to both of you guys. Because that is no easy task, I know. 31 orders of multi-zone systems takes forever to box up and ship out. So kudos to you guys. I'm glad we decided to work together again. And I'm looking forward to what we can do with this site with a little bit of money, because this is all organic. So a little bit of money behind it. I'd say probably $5,000. We can double the sales. $5,000 a month. We could probably double the sales. So that's going to be awesome to see. I'm excited about that. But I'm also excited about bringing this up and actually paying partners, because it really relies on me. I'm the marketing guy for us. And you can see here, January. And why does it say $12,000? I guess I wasn't tracking anything in January. All right, so what did January actually do? Yeah, I do care about total sales, but the returns are what scared me a little bit. That's why I decided, hey, we need to have a meeting and figure this thing out. So $32,000. So I didn't actually do anything on this site in January. Brought around, like I said, $33,000 or so. Then $10,000 in return. So that month was negative. So that's not good. All right. So that's the average month with just baseline. I think we might spend, if we're doing baseline advertising, just for marketing, brand stuff, and then a little bit of shopping ads that I've dialed in so much that I really don't have to pay attention to. About $30,000. Maybe we spend $1,000 to get that. And then February, $53,000. I think I might have doubled the budget last month to $2,000 to get that. And this is really a mix of organic might bring in $15,000 a month. So the other, anything above that is all advertising for the most part. So $15,000, so $1,000 to bring in 15, $2,000 to bring in 40 or so. So that's a pretty good return. So we're going to keep ramping up the budget every month or so. I might not double it every month, depending on what we're advertising. So there's a bit of a cap for this type of stuff. So I might not double it every month, but I'll definitely be increasing it every month. And there's a bit of a cap to how well the baseline advertising does. So typically I like to spend about 20% of the budget on retargeting visitors who haven't become customers. So whenever I ramp up the cold excuse me, the acquisition advertising, I need to ramp up the retargeting advertising. And for us, let's see what we did last month. This is March. I want to see February, actually. Like I said, the conversions broke a little bit last month. Conversion value $7,000. I know we did a ton more than that, and 18,000 conversions, so that doesn't even make any sense. So the conversion broke a little bit. I think the ads actually brought in maybe 40 or so last month. It was mainly Google ads, so that's a bit of a drop in our return on ad spend. But we are testing out different campaigns, so I threw a decent amount of money at Performance Max. So I kept the stuff that I know works the same, and that did what it's supposed to do. But I've been testing out Performance Max, so I doubled the budget to use Performance Max. You can see here that I brought in excuse me, $2,500 in Performance Max, so $17,000, $1,700 in stuff that I know for sure brings in money. But I need a testing budget so I can expand what we're actually doing. So I gave myself about $2,500 to spend on Performance Max, spent about $2,700, and it brought in 20,000 people to the website. So these are just product ads for the most part. It's a better version of a smart shopping campaign. And the reason I'm using Performance Max is I don't have a smart shopping campaign set up for this company because of, one, managing it. I didn't have the time to manage it before. Now I do. And two, I guess there's only time to manage it. So this month we worked on Smart Shopping or Performance Max because that's the newest, latest and greatest. It brought a ton more. I saw the lead forms go up a ton. It did a little bit of Performance Max, and so these conversion values are a little wonky. 2,000 conversions, that's nowhere near. But the conversion value kind of broke at the end of the month, so I had to fix it. So this isn't accurate, but it costs $1,700. So really, we can get everywhere we need to go with $1,200. You can get to about $50,000 with $1,200, which is cool. And obviously, as you spend more money, the return on ad spend goes down a little bit. It'll probably get to the real goal for return on ad spend for me is, I think, 4 times. Yeah, so the number sticks out of my head, so the margins have to be around 25% or so, because 4 times is break even to get a customer in. Usually once you get a customer in, they buy a little more stuff from us. They don't buy a ton because they pretty much fix their problem. But if I can get the return on ad spend, I know at least a 4 times ROAS, then I can work on increasing the ROAS through other stuff on the website. But the goal for this one is 8. So the 8 ROAS is the goal. Then that brings the margin down to 10%. So that's the long-term goal, is after everything's said and done, ROAS 8 times return on ad spend, and then margin will be 10%. And if I can scale that, $100,000 a month, $10,000 every month ain't bad for the partners. But, obviously 20, 30 looks a lot more appealing. So, but I know from advertising all these years that that's not going to happen, especially if you ramp it up the way we want to ramp it up. All right. So the conversion rate, there's no way you have a 300% conversion rate on Performance Max. So I don't know. Like I said, this broke at the end of the month. Went a little wonky. But, it did its thing. So $1,700 in ad spend got us $53,000. And then March, last month. All right. Last month we spent $2,500 on Performance Max. So that got us back to our 17 grand. Had shopping ads as well. I know this produced sales, but I don't see any value. I know these actually produced sales as well. I don't see anything here. I know for sure this produced sales. This $25 led to a $1,200 sale. Let's see what this looks like actually. No, I want to see viewable impressions. I'll make another video on going through just this. Performance Max. So all conversions. That doesn't even make any sense. 1,000 conversions, but there's nowhere near. All right. The brand campaign didn't really do much last month. I know that for a fact, but it did bring in probably $2,000 worth of sales. Targeting, it says 0. I don't really know about you. All right. So we spent $4 grand last month. $4 grand. Let's see what we brought in. I think I UTM tagged everything last month. Actually, no. The shopping ads weren't done. Oh, that's another thing I did. Inside your merchant account for your shopping ads, whatever your 15 grand for attributed to sales, so I fixed it at the end of the month. Okay. Because, I fixed it at the end of the month. Beginning of the month, it was a little wonky. Then I fixed it at the end of the month. All right. So inside your merchant account, you can create a rule. For us, I installed something on the website called Triple Whale, and that actually took a look at where all the sales are coming from, so I contributed to the marketing, so I know exactly what to scale up and down. To scale, you need to have accurate data. So, I only have one e-commerce client, and that's my business, because as of right now, I'm focusing on lead gen for local contractors. I don't want any more e-commerce clients because there's a ton of work involved, and I am focusing on growing Theros Media, scaling that up, and it can't do that dragged down by all the other stuff. But if I can get this up and rolling, the only e-commerce store, I do this in the spare time. So, you work 40 hours a week on your business, and then you work another 40 hours for the other business. I call that spare time. What do we do? So the content API, yep, but that's not what I did. I went to my feed, and I created a rule to actually tag properly. So our there we go. So I created a rule inside the feed so we can tag everything properly, so our marketing can pick up exactly what we're doing. So as you can see here, for my Shopify's content API pushes in a UTM parameter for the shopping ads. And every time a shopping ad came through, it was attributed to organic, because shopping ads, Google, shopping ads for Google, and then the organic position, even though it was a paid, it's paid, it's still in an organic position. So I'll show you what that means. Superfive acid neutralizer. All right. So you'll see a shopping ad here. This is actually attributed to organic for us because of how the content API pulls in the data. And I'm not sure why exactly it does that, because it's a paid position. It's in the organic listing, so I'm not sure. I don't know why they built the UTM parameters inside Google Shopping API the way they did. You can see that we rank pretty high for it, and that's why. Let me do an actual. Yeah, we usually rank pretty high for it. So, even though Google knows, I'm still logged in incognito, but you can see all our videos here. So we try to dominate, and this is our products, This is actually a Performance Max campaign right here, pulling in the big stuff. So this is a total system. People actually have to know exactly what they need to get something like this. Usually this sale doesn't happen unless they get on the phone with them. So I don't know why. Like I understand why Performance Max wants to do what it wants to do, but I don't know, if someone's searching for just the 2.5, show them the 2.5. I mean, I guess it did upflow, downflow. It's all 2.5 stuff, but come on. That's going to scare somebody. Something like this. See? Their 2.5, that's neutralizer. $1,500. Ours is $900. Here's all our stuff. So 2.5. So you can get it for $800. But this one you don't really want. This is the budget one. I wouldn't recommend this. I'm not sure why even why we have it. I guess it's a partner decision. Anyway, that is that. So be careful with your the way it pulls in your data so you can attribute it correctly. I found and replaced. So I found this tracking parameter inside the link, and I replaced it with an actual one that I can track where the ads are coming from. So this one inside the Triple Whale platform will attribute everything correctly. I just bought this a week ago, so I'm still playing around with it, but this gives you helpful insights so you know exactly which campaign's doing what, so you can scale up properly. A lot of times you'll see in your ad account that things aren't attributed, so things are attributed all over the place in your ad account usually. So I push the keywords. I'll give you an example. I push keywords from the ads we do to the person's profile. Only $1 today in ads? Wow. So I push things to the person's profile through hidden fields when they go to a contact form. So I know what ads produce contact forms and then what ads get attributed to sales. They never match. So I want to make sure that doesn't happen. So you can see ROI last month was 11, even though $4,000, Shopify sales, returns 16 grand, crazy. But only 1 week was tracked accurately. So I'll give you the week that's tracked accurately and what it showed. All right. So ads. I know this came from an ad, but it was a product feed ad, so it attributed to organic. So I had to get that working properly. This was a shopping feed ad as well. This was a shopping feed ad as well. This wasn't. I know they came through a phone call. But a lot of these weren't attributed properly, so I need to figure out how to actually make that happen. And this is not attributed properly either. This is the whole month. Well, we didn't actually use Triple Whale the whole month. We used it for the last week. And it's pretty pricey as far as softwares go. So this, yeah, I put it on here. I got the card information on Thursday. So we can actually see what our return on return on ad spend was for our BIAs. All right. $1,000, 10,000 back. That makes more sense for us. So this is the goal where we want to be. But it's a little higher because a lot of these sales, so shopping feed ads, I'll even show you. I'm pretty sure this was one. So I'll show you what it looks like. All right, go all the way down. DuckDuckGo, so that was organic, never mind. All right, where's the shopping feed ad? Pretty sure you were one. Yep, all right. So the first click they came in, Google SAG Organic. SAG Organic was just a data feed pushing in the parameter. We bought 2 well tanks. Ended up being a $1,300 sale. That was a shopping ad, and we spent money on that ad. It wasn't attributed in our sales data here. So this is a little off, but it shouldn't be off next month. Everything should be fixed because of the merchant account find and replace and the data feed. So you can see here that before the UTM was product sync, Google Ads, organic here. Now it is actually what Triple Whale wants. It is Google, paid, campaign ID, ad group ID, keyword ID, creative. So I can go inside our dashboard here and I can see what ads did what brought in what, and I can figure out how to actually advertise better for our company. So that's why I did that. So this is the overview video of what we're trying to do. The goal is to 8x. Really, it's 8x, but the goal is to double sales from 50,000 to 100,000 a month in June. By the end of June, that's the goal. By the end of the year, I want to have $250,000 every month from the business pumping out. So it should be $4 million or $3 million business by the end of this year. And then next year we'll do our best to get that to 10. Because after about 30 in sales without returns, so 30 in sales, returns always screw everything up. So $30,000 in sales is what I call our nut. So that's, what we need to bring in every month. We can do that with a baseline of just retargeting, some brands, some shopping, or really about $1,200 spend. We can bring in $30,000 a month for this company. We want to grow that a ton because really as of right now, average order values are very high. You can afford to bring on a salesperson to be on the phone to do stuff like this. And then the cost per clicks are very low. Average order values are very high. Competition is very low, especially in this industry, because you have to know what you're doing. So you have to have a little bit of knowledge, actually a lot of knowledge, because this is people's livelihoods. This is their water in their house. So we have a partner in the company who knows exactly what he's doing. He's been doing it for 30 years. It's just a little behind on the online stuff. And marketing, forget about it. So that's where I come in. That's why I make sense for the business. Our other partner, he runs the operations for the most part. So that's why he makes sense for the business. So we have a sales guy, marketing guy, operations guy. The only person that get paid right now is the sales guy. We all want to get paid because we've been, the backstory is we got the business for, not free, but basically, signed over the assets. There was a ton of liabilities because of bad customer service for years. And I think it was maybe $250,000 in debt. We brought it on, and we had to pay a decent amount of legal fees. I think all said and done, I think it was close to maybe $150K in legal fees before we could make any money in the business. And we knew that going in, and we saw the same thing I see now, potential. So we said, okay, we're not going to take anything until these legal fees are paid off. It took us 2 years to dig us out of that hole of paying the, who do we pay off? Maryland, the state of Maryland. I think we owed them maybe 40 to 50,000, and then we paid off a lot of the returns that people wanted their money back, which is understandable by everybody who used the business in the past, because you saw in February $16,000 worth of sales. This time a little leeway because of issues with supply chain, but really no leeway because you can call up a customer, hey, we actually don't have this in stock. I'll refund you a little bit of money. Could you take this instead? Like, a little bit of customer service goes a long way in the business. And I would know because all during COVID for Got Douglas, we were selling, but I had people on the phone. I'm like, hey, you have to be proactive. I don't have this right now. Can you wait for it? Yes or no? Yes, I can wait for it. No, I can't. If you can't wait for it, here's what we have instead. Can you take that? Yes or no? Yes, I can take that. All right, I'll give you a little bit of a discount on it. I'll pay for shipping, whatever it is. Like, just be proactive in your business to, not get angry emails back. It's just, it just makes common sense. So we paid off $150,000 in debt. 16 grand in returns should never happen. You should never have 30% of your sales returned. And that was, I mean, let's hope that month doesn't happen again. So I'm going to get with our partners probably in a week or so, talk about how we can mitigate that. And I mean, that's his job to figure out if we have this stuff in stock, because we're making sales. Like, I can bring it, I can make the rain happen. It's just, we can't do everything. Everybody's good at something. That's probably why I stopped working on it last year, is because the same crap happened. Got to $80,000 in sales in 1 month. Actually, I think it was $70,000 in sales in 1 month. And then we had a ton of returns. I'm like, oh my God, I can't just keep driving people here if we're not going to do our jobs. So that's why I stopped working on it. I remember now. Anyway, so we can make the rain happen. And, I'm good at what I do. It's just, you got to be good at what you do. And that's one thing that I've learned in client-facing businesses. Now I run an agency. I bring on HVAC contractors who want to scale their install teams. So I focus primarily, like 95% of my advertising for HVAC contractors is on installs. Ductless, heat pumps, new construction installs. Because that's where the money is. I mean, I know anybody can run you a service ad and bring in a service lead for $50. But you're not going to make any money on it, because I know your numbers. I ran the business for 2 years. So unless you're great and your techs are in the house selling, which maybe 5% of techs can do, then stick where the money is. I can get you, I get you 30 times return on your ad spend if you're good at sales. Like, I was doing the sales for the business, so I know. I spent $2,900 in September. I did all the sales in September last year. We brought in $90,000 from Google Ads, because it's not that I'm the best at sales. It's just I'm proactive, and I work relentlessly, because that was my livelihood. I got a commission. I got paid for the marketing. I got paid commission. That's where I really made my money. I made $12 an hour or something like that. It was nothing. I couldn't support my family on it. But I made commission. That's where I made the majority of my money, is commission and marketing. I still got paid retainer for marketing. And, I can make it rain. You have to be good at your job. So, and most contractors, sad to say, that they don't really have a sales process in place. So it's just, it's just one of those things where, even though you're in a client-facing business, I know you're good at your job, but the person you're advertising for, if you're an agency, has to be good at theirs too, or it's not a match made in heaven. It's not going to work very well. And even now, I try to vet companies that come on, like e-commerce. That's why I don't want to bring in e-commerce companies, because a lot of times it's a ton of work. And as a marketing agency, you're doing a ton of work, and you're not really getting compensated for it very well. Sad to say, but that's the truth. But I can bring in, that wasn't a sale, okay. But for HVAC companies, if I bring in 80 leads, you can close at least 10, can't you? The worst case scenario is 1 to 10. I know the contractor we have right now that I can think of, I think their leads their Facebook leads. This is Facebook, mind you. I don't do any of their Google ads because I have another company doing that. The other company shit the bed, so we're going to work on it this month. But their Facebook ads for one of their branches has an 80% book rate. 80%. And the close rate is probably close to 50, because that dude, Mark, if you're listening to this, he's one of the owners, and he's a killer. So, he's doing his thing. He brings on a sales guy. You're not going to hit those numbers because they don't care as much as you do. When I was working in the business, I was operating as an owner. I wasn't one. I had an ownership agreement, but I wasn't one. And my numbers kind of the same. I don't think I was doing 80%. Yeah, I wasn't doing 80% booking ratio because I was doing a lot of things at one time, obviously. So I think the booking ratio was close to 40. But the close rate was pretty freaking high because I cared. And that was my livelihood. I think at the end of it, made about 14 grand a month or so. And I know, like, why'd you leave that? Because, this is what I'm good at. I can make it rain for you. You just have to be good at your job. So, it is 6 a.m. Took a shower, got up, started shooting this video for an hour, started working a little bit. So, the next video I'm going to make, this is an overview video. It's going to be long, drawn out, listen to me talk, but I did go through kind of what I think through when I'm looking at how we can improve business. So, the conversion rate, abysmal. We need to work on that. Average car values, all right. Okay, that's fine, but the first thing we're going to do, look at that. We're going to work on this a ton this month. If we can get that to 1%, 1% of visitors, for a high-ticket e-commerce store, like we are, 1% is probably good. I'd say I would love to get that to 3%. But if we get to 1%, that's 5x the business without spending any more money. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on the conversion rate a ton this month. Figure out exactly what we need to do to boost that. I'll look at some tutorials or whatever. I have some ideas on how to do that. But that is abysmal. So that's the first thing we're going to work on. Yeah, I don't even do anything else. That's the first thing we're going to work on. It's all not all about spending money. It's about 5xing. That's a quick win. Even if we can double it to 0.4, that's doubling the business. That's $100,000 in a month just by boosting the conversion rate from 0.2 to 0.4. Isn't that crazy? Crazy to think about, isn't it? I mean, for real, we could spend $5 grand a month on ads. If we boost conversion rate to 1%, we'll make $250,000. That sounds, crazy. But it is very true. So that's what we're going to work on. Anyway, this video is kind of long. I'm not going to edit it because it is early and I do not feel like getting into it. I don't edit very well. I don't do thumbnails very well. I just work. I know I need to get better at it, but for right now, screw that.